Hello, grade ones. Today we're talking about landmarks. So a landmark is something that people recognize, and they can be part of the land or they can be something that was built. And so we're going to talk first about some famous landmarks, and then we're going to get to talking to some ones closer to home. So you might be familiar with some of these. So the Eiffel Tower is a landmark in France that everyone would recognize. And maybe if you lived in Paris, where it is, you would know if you're giving someone directions, you might say, turn right at the Eiffel Tower and you'll get to the restaurant. And that's how sometimes people learn directions that way. So you might even notice this when you're driving around your community, that you don't know the names of the streets to get somewhere, but you might know that you pass the McDonald's on your way to go to your grandma's house, or that if you turn a certain way past the superstore, that's the way to get home. So there's some things like that that help us to know where we are and what is important where we live. But here's some famous landmarks from around the world. So the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, and people just know that as a symbol of Paris. If you would ever see that, you would know, oh, that's Paris. And the pyramids are in Egypt. And so that's another famous landmark. And often, again, if people see pictures of that, they know that it's representing Egypt. So they can kind of be used as symbols too. The Eiffel Tower, or sorry, the Statue of Liberty is in New York in the United States. And it's people you could take boats out to see it. And that's another one that people know is in New York. And it's also a big symbol of just the United States in general. And the Taj Mahal is in India. And that's another famous building. Sorry, I just need to take a drink of water. So some landmarks we have in Alberta, which is the province we live in, is the world's largest dinosaur in Alberta. So maybe you've been to some of these places. And the Rocky Mountains in Banff or in Jasper, or there's other places you can go to the mountains. Lots of us, we're so lucky to have the mountains so close by that we get to see them. The Alberta Legislature building is in Edmonton. It's downtown. And the Calgary Tower is a well-known building in Calgary. So none of these are the communities we live in, but you might have seen those if you've been to those places. Here's some more. The Art Gallery is in Edmonton, and it looks like this. It's kind of a cool looking building. This is the Saddle Dome in Calgary. This is the Cronquist House in Red Deer, so that if you lived in Red Deer, that's something that they would know. And this is the High Level Bridge in Lethbridge. And Head Smashed and Buffalo Jump near Fort Macleod, Alberta. So if I've been down there, maybe you've been there on a vacation as well. So those are just some famous ones in Alberta. So what I want you to do today is I want you to think about, so what is a landmark? A landmark, you could say, is something, like I said, that helps you know where you are. It's familiar. You've seen it a lot of times. Lots of people know about it. So think of how to describe a landmark in your own words. And then I want you to list some familiar places in your community. So I want you to think of these. What do you know is in your community that you drive past? Maybe the church or your school or certain stores or restaurants, certain parks. So think of some familiar places in your community. I know in Spruce Grove, a big one is the Tri-Leisure Center everyone knows about. So today, that's what I want you to do for today. Is think about what is a landmark and some familiar places in your community. Okay? And then we'll continue with the last page on Thursday.